Did you know the Terminator was made on a budget so tight that the crew shot scenes without permits and literally stole shots on public streets? James Cameron was an unknown director living in his car when he dreamed up this story. No one expected it to work. No one thought it would launch careers. No one predicted a franchise. Every risky decision and desperate workaround helped shape the film's raw and unforgettable identity. These are 20 hidden details you completely missed in Terminator 1984. Number 20. Low budget limitations. Forced creative camera tricks. The Terminator was made for just $6.4 million, which forced James Cameron to get inventive at every stage of production. Handheld cameras replaced expensive equipment. Night shoots replaced costly daytime locations. Guerrilla filmmaking replaced studio permits, creating real risk during production. Adam Greenberg preferred handheld cameras over the Steadicam system because they allowed quicker setups and more dynamic shots. Production sometimes involved shooting scenes and leaving before police could arrive. Arnold Schwarzenegger later admitted they would film shots on Sunset Boulevard and vanish before anyone noticed. Every limitation became a deliberate creative choice that made the film feel raw, gritty, and authentic. Number 19. Los Angeles at night became a character. The city looks dangerous because the production embraced darkness out of necessity. 8 to 10 weeks of principal photography were devoted to night shooting, not for style but to reduce costs. Neon signs reflected off wet pavement. Flickering streetlights cast long shadows. Steam rose from grates in downtown LA. These became natural production design. Los Angeles itself feels hostile as shadows hide threats around every corner. Director of photography Adam Greenberg used darkness to mask limitations while increasing tension. Every alley feels like a trap, and every intersection suggests danger. The lack of daylight creates an ongoing feeling of exposure with nowhere to hide. A larger budget might have polished the visuals, but that would have weakened the atmosphere. Instead, the city presses in on the characters, transforming a chase into something suffocating and relentless. Number 18. Arnold's limited dialogue was a masterstroke. Arnold Schwarzenegger speaks only 17 lines in the entire film, totaling roughly 58 words. That extreme restraint was a deliberate creative decision. James Cameron understood that the less the machine spoke, the more threatening it would feel. Short commands like,
"You close. Give them to me. Now."
land harder because they are delivered without emotion or explanation. The Terminator never negotiates, jokes, or reflects. It simply states intent and acts. That silence creates danger that never fades because there is no warning or hesitation. At a reported salary of $75,000, Schwarzenegger was paid roughly 1 to 293 word. The lack of dialogue also forced the performance to rely on physical presence, posture, and movement, making the character feel truly inhuman and unforgettable. Number 17, the original ending was almost completely different. Early versions of the script included several scenes that never made it to the screen. One deleted sequence showed Sarah and Kyle agreeing to destroy Cyberdyne. Another removed moment involved a technician discovering Terminator parts. Producer Gail Ann Hurd worked closely with Cameron on the rewrites. Hemdale Film Corporation financed the production despite the unconventional ending. James Cameron ultimately decided these scenes revealed too much information too soon. He wanted the ending to feel abrupt, brutal, and final. Removing that exposition avoided a weaker resolution. The hydraulic press finale became iconic instead. By trusting the audience to connect the dots, the story gained mystery and weight. The choice ensured the ending felt earned while keeping the future uncertain and ominous. Number 16, the Terminator vision. POV was created without CGI. The iconic red point of view shots showing the Terminator's vision were created without any computer-generated imagery. Instead, the effects team used real programming code pulled directly from an Apple II computer. The scrolling text came from Nibble magazine, a publication for Apple enthusiasts. Every line visible on screen was authentic code rather than random symbols. The film was released in October 1984, which meant the team was working with extremely limited time and technology. This approach avoided the artificial look common in early digital effects. The cold mechanical display feels believable because it is grounded in real computing language. The effect cost almost nothing to produce, yet it remains instantly recognizable. That realism helps sell the idea that the Terminator is a machine processing information, not a human thinking emotionally. Number 15, Linda Hamilton's transformation happened in real time. Linda Hamilton sprained her ankle just 1 week before filming began, which immediately complicated production. Instead of shutting down, the crew rearranged the schedule so her running scenes were filmed later. Her ankle was taped every day, and she performed most scenes while in real pain. That physical struggle carried directly into her performance as Sarah Connor. She begins the film scared, uncertain, overwhelmed. By the end, she moves with urgency and determination. The exhaustion on screen is not acting. James Cameron believed Hamilton could handle both vulnerability and strength, and the injury accelerated that transformation. Her fear feels genuine because it was. Her resilience feels earned because she was pushing through real discomfort. The character's evolution mirrors the actress's own endurance during production. Number 14. Unintentional continuity errors were left in the final cut. Tight schedules and budget pressure meant not every mistake could be corrected during production. Editor Mark Goldblatt worked quickly to assemble footage under intense deadlines from Orion Pictures. The windshield hole changes size between shots. Phone book addresses do not match filming locations. A patrol car slogan switches mid-chase. Boots become shoes between cuts. During a police chase, a patrol car door slogan changes from "to care and protect" to "dedicated to serve." These inconsistencies remained because fixing them would have slowed production. The film's pacing moves so quickly that most viewers never notice. Attempting to correct every error would have created continuity delays and production slowdowns, which the team could not afford. Number 13. The police station scene changed action films forever. The police station sequence marks the moment the film fully transforms into a nightmare. Sarah Connor is surrounded by armed officers inside a secure building, which should mean safety. That illusion is shattered when the Terminator drives a car through the front entrance and begins unaliving officers without hesitation. Bullets hit him, shotguns knock him back, nothing stops his advance. The scene establishes that human systems and authority offer no protection. The Terminator does not panic, retreat, or slow down. The violence feels sudden and overwhelming, creating the realization that escape is the only option. This sequence redefined what an unstoppable villain looked like. It influenced decades of action cinema. The message is clear. When something cannot be reasoned with or contained, survival depends on escape, not resistance. Number 12. The stop-motion skeleton still works decades later. When the Terminator's flesh burns away, the exposed endoskeleton is brought to life using stop-motion animation rather than digital effects. The movement is slightly jerky, but that imperfection works in the film's favor. James Cameron filmed Arnold Schwarzenegger limping during earlier scenes, so the animated skeleton would match that damaged motion. The result feels deliberate instead of cheap. The skeleton moves like broken machinery that refuses to shut down. Modern effects might look smoother, but this version feels physically present. It casts real shadows, reflects real light, fills the factory space. That tangibility creates tension because the threat feels real and close. The practical effect avoids a lifeless and artificial appearance, helping the finale remain frightening decades later. Number 11. Sound design made the Terminator feel unstoppable. The film's iconic score was created by Brad Fiedel using a Prophet 10 synthesizer in his garage. Instead of a traditional orchestra, he built the music from mechanical pulses and metallic tones. The main theme uses a 13/16 rhythm, which creates unease because it never settles into a comfortable pattern. That irregular beat mirrors the Terminator's relentless pursuit. The sound design does not allow the audience to relax. Each pulse feels like forward motion. The music constantly reminds viewers that something inhuman is closing in. This approach avoided the emotional warmth of orchestral scoring, making the film feel colder and more threatening. Despite its simplicity, the score became instantly recognizable and deeply tied to the character's identity. Number 10. Kyle Reese feels exhausted because the actor was exhausted. Michael Bihn's performance as Kyle Reese feels drained and desperate because the conditions of production mirrored the character's state. Most of the film was shot at night, leaving the cast physically worn down over weeks of filming. To prepare, Bien studied resistance fighters from World War II, modeling Reese as someone shaped by constant survival. The long shoots left visible exhaustion in his face and posture, bags under his eyes, tension in his posture, desperation in his voice. That realism sells the idea that Reese comes from a future filled with loss and fear. The character never feels comfortable or safe, reinforcing clear emotional and physical exhaustion. What audiences read as acting is often genuine fatigue, which makes Reese believable as a soldier already pushed beyond his limits. Number 9. The hidden time loop baked into the story. The film quietly builds a paradox that many viewers miss on first viewing. Kyle Reese is sent back in time by John Connor to protect Sarah Connor. During that mission, Kyle becomes John's father. This means John unknowingly sends his own father back to conceive him. The future causes the past, and the past ensures the future. James Cameron constructed the loop intentionally, allowing destiny to lock itself into place. The photograph Sarah takes at the end of the film is the same image John later gives Kyle. Nothing changes because everything already happened. That structure adds tragedy to the romance and creates a sense of inescapable fate. The story suggests free will exists, but only within boundaries that time itself has already decided. Number 8. James Cameron's nightmares inspired the Terminator. During the troubled production of Piranha 2, James Cameron became ill while staying in a cheap hotel in Rome. While suffering from a fever, he experienced a vivid nightmare of a chrome skeleton crawling out of flames while holding a knife. The image terrified him, but it also stuck. When he woke up, Cameron immediately sketched what he had seen on hotel stationery. That disturbing vision later became the damaged Terminator crawling through the factory near the end of the film. The scene works because it comes from fear rather than logic. The movement feels unnatural and relentless. The imagery taps into a raw feeling of terror and powerlessness, making the villain feel like something born from the subconscious. A moment of sickness directly shaped one of the most unforgettable images in science fiction cinema. Number 7. This movie feels like horror because it was designed that way. James Cameron intentionally structured the film like a horror movie rather than a traditional action spectacle. He drew inspiration from Halloween, using the slasher formula as a foundation. The Terminator functions like a stalking killer rather than a flashy villain. It appears suddenly, kills efficiently, cannot be reasoned with. Sarah Connor is placed in the role of a survivor who must adapt or die. The suspense comes from pursuit, not firepower. Cameron wanted audiences to feel hunted instead of thrilled. That design choice creates a constant feeling of dread and vulnerability throughout the film. Later sequels leaned more heavily into action, but the original remains disturbing because it prioritizes fear over spectacle. Its horror roots are why the tension still works decades later. Number 6. Gun realism and tactical details. Most people miss. The Terminator's interaction with weapons is grounded in careful research rather than spectacle. When it asks for a
Phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
Hey, just what you see.
the request makes no sense to the gun. Store clerk, which reinforces the machine's foreign origin. Every firearm the Terminator selects afterward is practical for the era. The AMT long-slide pistol with laser sight required an external battery pack hidden inside the jacket, since compact laser systems were not yet available. Arnold Schwarzenegger manually activated the beam during scenes. This attention to detail prevents the violence from feeling exaggerated. The weapons feel heavy, loud, and dangerous. That realism avoids a cartoonish or exaggerated action tone, making the threat more believable and unsettling. Number 5. The Terminator never runs until late in the film. For most of the movie, the Terminator advances at a steady walking pace rather than sprinting after its targets. This was a deliberate character choice rather than a performance limitation. A machine calculating efficiency has no reason to rush or panic. James Cameron instructed Arnold Schwarzenegger to move with mechanical precision, keeping his posture controlled and emotionless. Stunt coordinator Benny Dobbins helped choreograph the relentless stalking sequences filmed near the Pacific Design Center. That slow movement creates tension because escape never feels permanent. Only after the Terminator suffers severe damage does it finally begin to run. That shift signals desperation and a change in power. The moment the machine starts rushing forward creates a sudden spike of panic and urgency. The pacing teaches the audience how to read danger through movement alone, without dialogue or explanation. Number 4. Small background details foreshadow the ending. Subtle visual clues throughout the film quietly point toward the final outcome. The factory where Sarah Connor crushes the Terminator is revealed to be a Cyberdyne Systems facility, tying the machine's destruction to its own origin. This detail suggests the future is already taking shape in the present. Sarah unknowingly destroys the Terminator in the birthplace of the technologies. That will eventually create Skynet. The symbolism reinforces the story's closed time loop. In the final scene, Sarah drives toward an approaching storm near the Mojave Desert, fully aware of what is coming. The imagery suggests preparation rather than hope. The ending avoids resolution and instead leaves viewers with the weight of what is about to happen, emphasizing that knowledge does not equal control. Number 3. Sarah Connor is the true main character. Despite the film's title, the story belongs to Sarah Connor from beginning to end. She starts as an ordinary waitress at Big Jeff's diner, struggling with daily life, and ends as a survivor capable of destroying a machine. The transformation is gradual and earned through fear, loss, and constant pressure. James Cameron intentionally centered the narrative narrative on her growth rather than the spectacle of the Terminator. She screams, she cries, she fights, she survives. Her evolution from the chaos of tech noir nightclub to the factory climax creates a painful but empowering journey through survival, proving the story is about resilience, not domination. The Terminator may drive the plot, but Sarah drives the meaning. Her arc became the blueprint for action heroes who earn strength rather than starting with it. Number 2. This movie changed science fiction action forever. Before the Terminator, science fiction films were often divided between expensive studio productions and low-budget exploitation. This film proved that strong ideas could outweigh limited resources. It blended horror, action, and science fiction into a single relentless experience. The relentless pace, the practical effects, the mythic storytelling. Stories about unstoppable machines hunting humans became a genre standard. The film also launched James Cameron's career and reshaped audience expectations. Science fiction no longer needed polished futurism to feel convincing. It could be dirty, tense, and frightening. The impact was immediate and lasting. Many later films like RoboCop and The Matrix borrowed its structure and tone, often without realizing it. The Terminator demonstrated that ambition paired with discipline could redefine an entire genre without massive resources or studio safety nets. Number 1. Terminator 1984 still holds up decades later. Decades after its release, the Terminator remains effective because it never relied on trends or technology that could age poorly. The practical effects still feel tangible. The performances remain intense and grounded. Arnold Schwarzenegger's minimal dialogue creates a presence that modern villains still struggle to match. Linda Hamilton's performance gives the film emotional weight beyond spectacle. James Cameron proved that commitment and clarity matter more than budget size. The film's tension comes from ideas, not excess. Its limitations forced creativity rather than compromise. That approach allowed the movie to age gracefully. The AFI recognized its cultural impact, and the Library of Congress preserved it for future generations. While technology has advanced, the fundamentals have not changed. Fear, urgency, survival, these remain universal. The Terminator endures because it understands those instincts and never lets them go. The Terminator was made for just $6.4 million and eventually earned $78.3 million worldwide. It topped the box office for 2 weeks and launched one of the most enduring franchises in science fiction history. From stolen shots on Los Angeles streets to a score composed in a garage, every limitation became a strength. Its influence can still be seen in modern action and science fiction films today. What detail surprised you the most? What movie should we break down next?